Jacob Hilliard, how are you tonight? Jacob and Jesse, good. How are you guys? Welcome to the live. DL, how are you? DL Hemingway. First and foremost, can you guys hear me? Rick, what's going on? Mikey, Marcy, how are you? Okay, good. You guys can hear me. I always get worried that you guys can't hear me. Perfect. Thank you, Jacob, Jesse. DL Hemingway. Holy cow. I got a good night for you guys planned. I got some amazing encounters. Hope everyone is feeling good tonight. Harry Griffith, how are you? Wesley September. Tigger's in here with us tonight. He's laying on the floor. I am not about to pick him up, though. Definitely, Jacob. Definitely. Claire Harris, how are you? Nicholas Carroll, how are you, brother? Yeah, he's just sitting right here looking up at me. I'm feeling well. Thank you, Rick. I'm feeling well. Troy, how are you? San Francisco, the San Francisco treat. What's going on? Amy, how are you? No, Tigger's not an angry cat at all. He's super chill, but he just doesn't like getting picked up when he doesn't want to get picked up. So, I got some. I'm pretty happy with the experiences that I've got for you guys tonight. I've got some cool information. Hang on, I gotta let him out now, apparently. All right, go on, buddy. I got some cool information, some scientific information I want to share with you guys, some badass experiences, and some really awesome Lizzo the Lot Lizard experiences. I think we're doing good on that. Oh, okay. Nexus, how are you? Jess B, Sharon Williams, how are you guys? Adam Condon. Hercules. Yes. Shackleneck will be. So Shackleneck's getting better. He's getting better slowly. He's going into a rehabilitation center tomorrow. Monday, excuse me, to work on his strength. Aramek! Also, Janie will not be here tonight either. So let's keep both of those guys in our prayers. Jane's brother is in the hospital. He's got a really bad heart condition. He's back on oxygen. David, his name's David. Super, super chill dude. Like I've had long conversations with David. So yeah, it's pretty sad. So how are you, Aramek? What's going on, Baker? How are you, buddy? Maggie Mayhem. ATD. Brian Beard, what's going on? How are you? You know what I'm smoking on. Yeah, so Shackleneck's probably lurking in the shadows like a vampire that we never want to get bit by. You know better than that, Jim. You know I don't smoke. SDL, how are you? Snowman Dave, how are you? Douglas? Damn, that's a big hog, buddy. That's a big hog. I remember back before my family sold the farm, we had a hog one time, and this thing weighed close to 600 pounds. It was fucking gigantic. We used to have like a little Nissan pickup truck it was rear wheel drive. It was tiny. One of the small ones. And this thing could push, like it would, when we were dumping the buckets, like the big 55-gallon drums of food for them, it would push the truck with its head and the whole truck would nudge. It was just immense. Sasquatch and Grandma, how are you? Sniff it out. How are you? Robert Sharp, what's going on, brother? Doing good, Mega. Doing good. Delirium might not be here either. Delirium is not getting, is having some health issues as well. So let's keep him in your prayers as well. It's just, it's a sad time, man. Hogs definitely get big, right, Aramic? I think a monster hog should be classified as a cryptid. You know, it is fucking scary looking. Even a tamed, not a tamed hog, but like a farm hog. Like imagine a 600-pound farm hog and you let that motherfucker out in the woods for a fucking month and it turns back to nature. Oof. Exactly, Hogzilla right there. I remember when I was little, I don't remember what movie it was, but my mom and I were watching it. My dad was on shift work one time, and this hog was chasing these people through the woods, and it was like I think it was a razorback, and it literally was like I don't know if it was rabid. I don't even remember the movie, but I just remember it chasing a guy and a girl through the woods, and it ended up skewering the guy in the leg with its tusk, and then he fell and it killed him. We used to put hogs down for pig roasts. We would put a 22, put it right on top of their dome. I never did. My cousin always did because I was too young. And one shot, and then you had to jump in quick and give it the old neck slice, and let it bleed out. But it would only knock them out. Like if you didn't jump over, like it would live. They're fucking monstrous. But Fort Scott Munitions 9mm tumble upon impact will take out a hog. I don't know if I would eat any. I don't know if I would eat any wild hog bacon. I don't think there is bacon on wild hog because there's no fat, SDL. Carol Hollenbeck, how are you? Johnny Ohm, Patrice, how are you guys? Would you eat Hogzilla? I don't know. Maybe. I know that last week I was talking about how they found blue meat apparently in some wild hog that they had shot. I'm not sure. Fort Scott never fails. Never fails. So I don't know. I might want to wait for a few minutes before I share. I'm going to wait until we get some more people in. Oh yeah, Jim, definitely toss it. Janice Morrow, how are you? I heard Bigfoot and Dogman like both like bacon. Monkey Crap, how are you? John Williams. Yeah, trichinosis. A lot of trichinosis. San Fran, check out Fort Scott. You wouldn't go wrong, honestly. Eli, how are you? All right, so I've got a whole variety of experiences tonight, and I'm pretty freaking happy with tonight. So what I'll do is I'll share an experience. And then I'll share the scientific information that I stumbled upon. What is trichinosis? It's worms. They're like microscopic. Arabic! Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. They're like microscopic worms that inhabit their body. They're nasty. They're quite nasty. They make 10 millimeter. They make all kinds of rounds. What's up, Pitty? How are you? So, and I got something else I want to talk to you about. So the 6th is today. The 13th is next week. I was thinking about maybe doing an hour live stream on Monday the 16th, or Tuesday the 16th, just to spend like an hour with you guys on my birthday. I'm not really sure yet. I gotta think it through. Because live streams takes a toll on me every week, and it's not really like the easiest thing to get ready for, especially with the rest of the day and then the next day. So I'll let you guys know if we're doing it on the 13th or not. So for you, Jim Baker, thank you, Patrice. Pity, I did say hi to you. There's Mr. Haunted. How are you, brother? That's part of the information I'm going to share with you guys in a second here. All right, let's get into an encounter. Basically, I'm awake late at night because I'm watching over my dog as she is about to go into labor. I was in my kitchen to make a cup of tea while I wait, and I moved into the living room to wait for my water to boil. My living room is on ground floor, but one section is elevated due to the house being built on uneven ground. Towards one end of the living room, we have a door with a glass window built into it, which leads into a veranda. As I looked through this glass door, I saw 2 gigantic red eyes staring back at me. At first, I thought it was a reflection from something inside the house, despite the fact that we do not have any red lights from any type of electronics. I moved back and forth to try and see if the eyes were reflecting in the glass, and as I moved closer to the wall on the side, the eyes were spotted. I could see that the eyes went behind the wall as I moved. In my opinion, this confirmed that the eyes came from a source outside of the house. As you can imagine, I got pretty scared and went back into the room where my dog was. My phone was in that room, so I was not able to take a photo. Besides, photo evidence was not on my mind either, as I didn't think this would be, I would be sharing this. I am trying to think of a reason for why there would be 2 glowing red circles outside of my house. I can't really think of anything as I live out in the country, and this wall is facing the woods and not any type of neighboring buildings. Not to mention, judging from the scale, the eyes looked like they were pretty close to the door, like they came from the source that was on the railing of the veranda. I went back to check on the eyes a few minutes later, and they were gone. All right. So, Samara, how are you? Nightmare, how are you? Mr. Haunted, I don't know if you heard me say hello. If anyone has not heard me say hi to you, I have said hi, and I'm happy that you guys are here. Ugh. Kathy Hayes. All right. So, we hear a lot about on YouTube, a lot of information about 3-Eye Atlas. And if you look for sources of what you hear on some of these other channels, you can't find it, right? And like with my video, I said, I'm using AI. I did AI. And then the second upload where I combined it with one, I talked about just things that I was reading online, sharing about the nickel without the iron and stuff. Those are things that you can find. But it doesn't seem to be any like credible source outside of Avi Loeb in the one interview that he did. Now, I don't really like the New York Post, but today the New York Post shared something, and it was the one and only link that was talking about this, so I figured I would share it. Manhattan-sized interstellar object 3I Atlas could release mini probes that hit Earth, experts warn. Now, the other day I talked about the von Neumann probe, and what this thing does is it replicates and gets bigger and feeds off of other things that it finds in outer space. And I kept talking about nanotechnology. And now this just sprung out of nowhere. Anna Paulina Luna and Harvard scientist Avi Loeb are calling for NASA to monitor the Manhattan-sized interstellar object 3I Atlas as it passes the sun on Halloween Eve. How fucking crazy is that? To ensure that it does not drop off any mini probes that could invade Earth. Luna, Republican from Florida, and the Ivy League astrophysicist appeared together on a podcast and called for both the Mars orbiter and Jupiter's Juno probe to adjust their current courses and monitor the object that NASA has deemed a comet. If we are visited by a technological object like 3I Atlas, it could either visit us or release many probes that arrive on Earth and appear as UAP, Loeb said. The Soul Foundation podcast released Friday, referring to a technical term of UFOs. And we need to be aware of this. I asked the research team to monitor the sky after October when 3I Atlas comes close to the sun, just to check if there is any additional activity in the atmosphere of Earth as a result of it releasing maybe mini probes. Luna, the chairwoman of the House of Declassification Task Force, has previously urged NASA to exert the Uno orbit spacecraft currently outside of Jupiter to seize the opportunity, monitor nearby pathway of 3I Atlas. In an event that there is life, is it not our obligation to inform the public on that? Luna asked rhetorically on a podcast. Luna further made revelations to come on Tuesday, hearing a UAP commonly known as UFOs. We are actually going to be going to basically the president to ask if we can get access to programs that may exist within these different agencies. There's actually a large number of sightings in our area specifically, she said, referring to the Sunshine State 13th Congressional District. When asked if 3I Atlas could be the product of non-human intelligence, Loeb pointed out that human beings are creating their own non-human intelligence, which will eventually have capabilities beyond our own, namely artificial intelligence. We are creating a form of intelligence that is superseded our cognitive abilities simply because it will have more parameters in the neural network we create, Loeb said. If AI adding, it's like giving birth to a child that is smarter than you are. Loeb called out the scientific community resisting the study of this strange objects, likening the urge to describe 3I Atlas as a comet to calling an elephant a zebra without stripes. 3I Atlas will pass closest to the sun October 30th, and then will proceed in retrograde from Earth towards Jupiter, which it will pass by on March 16th, according to NASA. So, also, the mini tail that has supposedly formed that is facing away from the sun, some scientists have claimed that it is a form of exhaust. So who knows? It's all very interesting, though. Interesting times. Interesting times. Who did I miss? S23, how are you? Danny, what's up? Moondog Rex. Check out my upload, S23. Definitely not a comment. It's definitely not a comment. It's moving 136,000 miles an hour. Great. Chia Pet Mike Prowse. That's fucking great. What's up, Jeff? How are you, buddy? Tina Marie, how are you? Outside In, how are you? Rhonda Wolf, how are you? Chronicles of Cryptids. My weekend is going well. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. I'm trying to get out of some enormous. Yeah, it's 700,000 kilometers, which the sun, it's exactly almost half of it. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Wiley, what's up? P, how are you? All right. Let's share another experience, and then we'll do a lot lizard experience for them. I got a bunch of Dogman experiences. I got some Black-Eyed Kids experiences. I just want to make sure that I kind of switch it up for you guys. All right, here we go. My aunt had told me and anyone that asked this experience, and no matter what, her experience never changed, ever. She stood on what she saw was real, even though no one believed her. One night, her and her boyfriend were driving down the road and coming up onto a railroad track. When they got closer, they saw an 8-foot-tall creature standing on the side of the road. I always remembered her saying that it had glowing eyes. Weirdly enough, she always thought it kind of smirked at her when they drove past. It did not chase them, try and do anything. It just stood there, stared, and watched them as they drove by. She had always described it as looking just like the werewolf from Van Helsing. This was before she married my uncle, and I think the experience of hers brought them closer because he had an experience of his own as a child. When he was a kid, he was walking home. At this time, he lived out in the country. I'm talking maybe 200 people live in that area. Just so you can get an idea of how he felt being the only person outside at this time. He also saw an 8-foot-tall creature that scared him to death. He ran all the way home and busted through the door. He told my grandma what he had saw, and I am not sure if my grandmother believed him or not. I asked her when I got older, and she said he was so terrified that whether she saw it or not, he still saw something that scared him that badly. A few years ago, my uncle started getting into listening to creepy encounters, and he came across a Dogman. He listened to the experience and said, "That is exactly what I saw. Now I have a name for it." Delirium, you are here. No, they're not here. Okay. I saw SDL say Delirium. Clint, what's going on? If anyone sees Delirium pop in, let me know. I haven't seen him. There you are. I'm so glad you popped in. Thank you. I asked people to send you a prayer. S23, check out my video because I literally, and all of what you're saying, I said in a video like 2 weeks ago. Check it out. It's actually really good. And it's part of like a larger video. And I did like comparisons to ancient text from the Sumerian and Anunnaki. Bick flick. It was a creepy moon. It was. Not here though. It was weird looking. It was like abnormally large. Like I was coming to like turning onto my road. And as I looked all the way down my road, it looked like it took up the whole back side of the road. It was so cool. Oh, yeah. All right. Is it time for a lot lizard story? We'll do it like 4 minutes early. All right. All right. Simone isn't here either. Pups isn't here. I already told you why Janie's not going to be here. Okay, let me see. These are going to be a little longer too. A little longer than normal. All right, we'll start with this one. Now, if anyone's new to the live stream and hasn't been in here, Apocalypse Bear, how are you? For the love of, if anyone's new, George, how are you, buddy? These are the only fictitious stories that you will hear on the channel. Everything else is submitted. These I just write for fun as a joke because lot lizards are the most deadly cryptid. The fluorescent hum of the truck stop diner at 2 a.m. was a familiar lonely symphony. Greasy steaming coffee, the chattering of plates, and a low murmur of truckers unwinding after a long haul. Outside, under the vast, indifferent Texas sky, stretched a sprawling asphalt oasis, the domain of Lizzo. Lizzo was not your average lot lizard. She was the lot lizard queen, a monarch of the diesel highway. Her iridescent sequenced tracksuit and her unshakable aura of authority radiated across the parking lot. Her empire was built on quick wits, a sharp tongue, and an uncanny ability to read a man before he even rolled down his window. Tonight, she was holding court by the payphone. Her current boy toy, Earl, a mountainous man with a heart as big as his rig, polishing his chrome bumper nearby. Earl, honey, you buff that thing any harder, you'll see your reflection in the moon, Lizzo purred, adjusting her tiara of rhinestones she sometimes wore over her perfectly sculpted wig. Earl grunted a sound of contentment. Just making sure she's pretty for you, queen. The night was quiet, almost too quiet. A faint, almost a tremor ran through the ground, barely noticeable over the rumble of the distant engines. Then a new sound, like 1,000 tiny pebbles skittering across the tarmac, began to grow. Lizzo's eyes, usually sharp and calculating, narrowed. This was not a standard rig pulling in. From the darkened stretch between the diner and the gas pumps, they emerged. They were no taller than a man's knees, their painted ceramic faces fixed with a perpetual grin. Garden gnomes, but these were not your grandma's benign yard ornaments. Their eyes, though painted, seemed to gleam with an unsettling intent. Their little red hats bobbled with a disturbing purpose, and their tiny beards that usually denoted wisdom seemed tonight to drip with something far less wholesome. Leading the charge was one who sported spectacles perched precociously on his pointed nose, and a flamboyant, glittering red tunic. His name, shouted in a reedy, surprisingly amplified voice, was Elton Johnny. Gnomes, Earl stammered, dropping his polished cloth. Looks like they escaped a particularly nasty acid trip, Earl, Lizzo deadpanned, and her hand instinctively went to a heavy tire iron she had stashed under a broken picnic table. Elton Johnny planted a tiny, shiny boot in front of Lizzo. His painted grin splattered upon his face. "Evening, my dear, or should I say queen?" He gave a mocking bow. His arrayed behind him like a miniature malevolent army. Heard this was the happening spot for diverse desires. Lizzo put her hands on her hips. "Honey, if you're looking for a good time, you're about 35 years too young and about 3 feet too short, and your credit's probably terrible." Elton Johnny's painted eyes seemed to glint with something predatory. "Oh, but we're not here for you, darling. We're here for the men." He swept a miniature hand towards the brightly lit diner where the truckers were laughing, eating, and completely oblivious. "Been too long stuck among the petunias. We crave size, real men, and we aren't planning on asking." A collective shudder went through Earl and Lizzo. The air suddenly turned cold. The gnomes, with their fixed grins and unsettling declaration, were no longer funny. They were deeply, profoundly creepy. The silent, painted faces on the gnome army seemed to agree, their eyes now focused on the unwitting truckers. "Woohoo! Woohoo! Woohoo! There, Sparky!" Earl rumbled, stepping in front of Lizzo, effectively shielding her with his vast bulk. "You little weirdos got the wrong idea about this truck stop, and you definitely got the wrong idea about our truckers." Elton Johnny let out a high-pitched, almost squeaky laugh that sent shivers down Lizzo's spine. "Foolish giant, we are Garden Gnome Liberation Front. Far too long we have been regulated to lawn decor, subjected to the whims of suburban housewives and their barking curs. Tonight we reclaim our manhood." He brandished a tiny, sharp-looking pruning shear. "And we shall begin with the harvest of the fine specimens." With a shrill, wordless battle cry, the gnome army surged forward. "Earl, get the door," Lizzo yelled, grabbing the tire iron. "Don't let them get inside." Earl, for all his size, moved surprisingly fast, slamming the diner door shut and bracing it with his shoulder. But the gnomes were agile, swarming. A few tried to dart between his legs, small blades flashing. Earl let out a bellow, kicking out with a mighty boot, sending 3 gnomes tumbling like bowling pins into a puddle of spilled diesel. Meanwhile, Lizzo was in her element. She was swinging the tire iron with surprising grace for a woman in a sequenced tracksuit, deflecting a gnome who tried to climb up her leg. Another gnome, attempting a flying leap from a nearby curb, was swatted midair by her designer handbag, which, unbeknownst to the most, contained a brick-sized power bank and 2 cans of industrial-strength hairspray. "You little perverts, you're not going to ruin my reputation," Lizzo roared, her voice echoing with the authority of a woman who had seen it all and fought off worse. She uncapped one of the hairspray cans. "And you definitely ain't touching my men's." Elton Johnny, surprisingly cunning, dodged her attacks. He'd ordered a squad to scale the diner wall, tiny suction cups on their hands and feet, allowing them to cling to the greasy brickwork, aiming for the windows. "To the windows, my brethren, tonight we feast." "Oh, no, you don't." Lizzo saw them. She aimed the hairspray not at Elton Johnny, but at the little climbers. A cloud of sticky, highly flammable aerosol burst forth, coating the gnomes. They began to slip, their suction cups falling. Their tiny cries of outrage turned into shrieks of frustration as they plummeted back to the ground. Earl, meanwhile, had found his groove. He was using a broken broom handle like a javelin, picking off gnomes with surprising accurate throws, then retrieving it with speed that bellowed his girth. Another gnome attempted to bite his ankle, only to be met with a swift, crushing stomp. Earl looked down, disgusted. "Lizzo, these little fellas are nasty." But Elton Johnny was not so easily deterred. He rallied his forces, directing them to swarm Earl's legs, their tiny pruning shears glinting under the neon lights. Earl roared in pain as a gnome managed to nick him. Lizzo saw red. Nobody touches Earl, she charged, hairspray still in hand. Elton Johnny, seeing her coming, stood his ground, brandishing his pruning shears like a tiny sword. Just as he lunged, Lizzo squeezed the can. A jet of hairspray shot out, not at his face, but at his tiny polished boots. He slipped, losing his footing on the slick asphalt. In that split second, Lizzo delivered a kick, a perfectly aimed, hot heel-to-chest blow that sent Elton Johnny flying. He landed on a ceramic clink right in the overflowing dumpster, landing amidst discarded coffee cups and half-eaten burgers. His followers, seeing their leader defeated and stuck face down in the rubbish, lost their resolve. Their painted grins seemed to falter. Their creepy intent evaporated. They then turned and ran tail. A wave of tiny, panicked red hats scattered into the darkness from whence they came. Their skittering feet faded into the night. Lizzo stood panting, her sequins shimmering, an empty hairspray can still clutched in her hand. Earl limped over, rubbing his bruised and cut ankle. "You okay, big man?" Lizzo asked. Concern softened her voice. "Just a scratch, Queen," Earl said, a proud grin spread across his face. "But gnomes, really?" Lizzo surveyed her domain, now littered with a few discarded gnome hats, the faint smell of hairspray and fear. "Honey, after 20 years on the road, I can tell you there's not much that surprises me anymore, except maybe tiny perverted gnomes trying to get fresh with a trucker." She paused and added, "But they picked the wrong damn truck stop. And they definitely picked the wrong damn queen." She gave a satisfied sigh, then bent down to pick up a stray gnome hat. "Now, Earl, I think you deserve a double stack of pancakes and a whole pot of coffee. And I think I deserve a raise," she winked. "Tonight's services included gnome repulsion and preserving the virtue of a big rig drivers. That's extra." Earl chuckled, shaking his head. Lizzo, the lot lizard queen, adjusted her tiara, a fierce, protective glint in her eyes. The truck stopped, safe again. Her men were safe. And somewhere out in the vast, weird expanse of the highway, a certain garden gnome leader was rethinking his career choices from the bottom of a greasy dumpster. Redbird, thank you so much. Thank you, Redbird. Rosebud, Intuition, thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the love. Andy Davis, how are you? Redbird. No, garden gnomes, Arabic garden gnomes are the ceramic things that they sell at Lowe's, and they put in their front yards. Thank you, SD. Thank you, Jess B. Craigers! Christy Strom, how are you? Send me an email, Tina Marie. Send me an email. Thank you, Hollow. That's fucking crazy, Andy. Send me an email on that one too, Andy. I'd like to hear that. Well, thank you, Redbud. Colleen, how are you? Jilly, how are you? I'm glad that you're here, P. Glad that you're here. Dang. Send me an email, Andy Davis. I want to hear this shit. I got to. Arabic! Thank you, brother. You know who sees garden gnomes, but they're not really garden gnomes, they're puckwudgies, is Brian Mons. He'll pop in later tonight after he's done playing with his. He's always playing with his puckwudgie. All right. How about a Black Eyed Kids experience? Little black-eyed kids. I know, we are so close. Delilah, I did one last week. I don't have one for tonight. All right, black-eyed kids. I was home alone on Thanksgiving 2015 evening time, and I heard some knocking. Being in a festive and playful spirit, I opened the door without looking and automatically felt a deep sense of regret, sort of like a literal oh shit moment. I didn't know where it was coming from until I started to actively try to place what was wrong with the situation, and that's when I realized they did not have any whites in their eyes. For a few seconds, I thought, isn't Halloween over? And was confused till the oldest boy made eye contact with me, and that's when literally I felt like I was staring death in its face. They wanted to come in, and the way they spoke made it seem like they knew what I was thinking and were actively mocking my helplessness. I slammed the door on them, turned on all of the lights, and started watching TV while they stood outside and would occasionally knock. I feel like I lost a good 6 hours of time because I don't even remember when I fell asleep or what I was last watching. I remember when I first sat down, Gabriel Iglesias was playing, but don't remember anything. When I woke up, it was 2 a.m. The lights were all off and static on the TV. I have Dish Network, and there were no power outages in my area, and I don't get static if the dish would go out. I'd get like a channel listing as HDMI and a black screen, or it would be an introduction screen where it would show two people talking about the features of Dish Network. Also, if the lights went out, they would come back on. I had to literally switch the lights on and off a few times to get them to work. No one was still home. After that, I would occasionally see them outside, and every time it would be pin drop silence, and my lights would occasionally go out, or something would lose power, like my dish. One time, my phone was around 63%, dropped to 1 in 5 minutes. After a few months of being afraid of every knock, I decided to call in, and I am, and bless the home. I think he meant to say imam, but he spelled it wrong. I also saged the house and bought a lot of different psalms palms to place in every room, including the bathrooms. Since then, the visits had stopped. However, a few months after that, I remember hearing a blood-curdling scream and the banging on the door. I looked through the peephole and saw nothing. A few months ago, maybe 2 or so, my mom and I heard banging coming from the front door, and the same thing, no one was there. I don't know if it was them or something coming back or just kids playing a prank, but I was scared. I think black-eyed kids are demons. So technically, aliens are demons in my opinion. So yeah, but I think they're demonic of some sort. Little demonic motherfuckers. Tori Jeff says hi. I think they are definitely demonic. I think I really just honestly, since literally thinking about and looking into everything that I've been looking at, I truly believe that aliens are 100% demonic, and everything that I talk about during the week is the way I feel about them. You know, the other day I was what supposed to do. She was lying and I was up naked. Just do the damn autopsy. Delirium. Or Paramic. Angels? I think angels are angels. I obviously you're new to the channel then because you asked them the question. I talk about it like every day almost. demons I believe demons travel through portals, and they are alien-like creatures, the Greys, the Reptilians, the Dracos. The Nordics could be Nordics, but I don't believe there are too many good aliens. The Nordics may be angelic, but who knows? But I think the Greys and the Dracos in Anunnaki legend, they have wings and looked reptilian. In the Bible, it says some of the fallen angels that fell or that came to earth that fell from God's grace, some looked reptilian. And as Aramik has pointed out many times to me, seraphim. So evidence that remains. Oh, Dogman. All right. I've had a few paranormal and cryptid experiences after moving in North Carolina. A silver UFO, shadow people, the six lights, etc. Anyway, I was driving along some back roads of North Carolina. We were learning the shortcuts and ways to get around as we had just moved here. It was evening, as it was around fall summertime, the time where it's hot randomly in the springtime, so the windows were rolled down, just having fun cruising and sightseeing. The other person that was with me, let's call her M, was driving and chatting to me about the smells and plants I should stay away from. We're now passing a cow farm, so we roll the windows up because it smelled, and the curve past the farm was coming, so we rolled them back down. Now, after you hit this curve, there is a hill, and it flattens out into a straight but crummy road. In the middle of the road, something blackish was walking in the middle of the street. It was shaggy, and it was walking all calm, as if it was sightseeing as well. I remember M saying, "What is that dog doing?" It looked as big as a black bear or a derpy St. Bernard, and it was walking with a normal stride. We slowly crept up on it, hoping that it would hear the car and move out of the way, but it did not. So M gave the horn a little tap, and the thing finally turned around. Its eyes were reflecting from the headlights. It hunched down and hissed. When it turned, its tail lifted, and it was a long and black tail. It then darted off into the woods. M was puzzled. I sat there in disbelief in what I had just seen. It was odd and quiet ride back home. Fast forward more than a decade later, myself and a few friends were looking at local urban legends because one of them swore up and down they saw a ghost everyone was talking about and want to know more about it. I'm zoning out because I'm an introvert and went looking around in the website we found. I see the title called Vampire Beast of North Carolina and was like, the fuck? North Carolina got a hillbilly vampire? I clicked on it and read it. Some beast was terrorizing locals and their farm animals, leaving puncture wounds, no blood, and leaving the body there. Multiple bodies of dead animals in one night, all dead the same way. I scoffed and said, El Chupacabra, like Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory, and kept scrolling. I read some more and saw, here's where the witness recounted seeing. And when I scrolled down to see a hand-drawn picture, I nearly shat bricks. The eyewitness drew a picture of what they saw looking exactly like what Em and I saw a decade ago. The shape, the tail, the color. I went pale and exited out and just sat there thinking of my life's existence of this up until this point, or if I have some sort of brain damage, because I was like, this cannot be real. What did I really see? But what really hit the nail in the coffin is that this thing is attacking people's farm animals. And I saw this thing by a cow farm. I've not seen the creature again. I really don't want to, because I think it's a bad omen, since I have a superstitious family, which is why I think the paranormal and odd occurrences happen to us. When they do not have an odd experience, we don't speak about it to each other. But I'll gladly let you guys know. Thank you for letting me share. To help make this experience not scary to me, I call the thing the hillbilly cat. Maybe it was looking for some moonshine or a banjo. Savage, what's up? Frank, what's going on? John Sumner, how are you, buddy? Phew. Aramic, you are the best. And don't you let anyone tell you different. Trisha Ann, how are you tonight? Picking and grinning. What's up, T-Wave? My name is Andres. I am from Colombia, and I have 18 years old. So honestly, sometimes I think I have a sixth sense to perceive things, especially in the early morning or at night. The most logical explanation is that I have a light sleep, but going to the point. I have an endless number of paranormal experiences. I'll tell you about 2 nights ago. I have a recording studio in my room. My room has a window that goes to the corner of the street where I live. I would say that you can see 65% of the street through this window. Since it is great. The computer is near the window and my bed in front of the computer. So it is very common to see Netflix late at night. And I have always used to fall asleep in the early hours around 4. 2 nights ago, I began to see a new movie released on Netflix, The Perfect Date. While I was watching it, and about 36 minutes, something on the ceiling scared me very suddenly. It seemed as if something very heavy had stumbled and had fallen from the ceiling toward the floor and fell in front of the window. At first, I thought it had been my cat or some other nocturnal animal, but after a few seconds, I was surprised when I heard a cry accompanied by moans that came from behind the window. It took several minutes, and out of fear, I paused the film. I took courage and slid a minimum part of the curtain so that my eye saw what it was. My surprise was that there was a child sitting crying with its head tucked between its legs. I was surprised and closed the curtain quickly. My heart wanted to leave. I tried to find an explanation, but there was not. What was a child doing at that time of the night alone and also walking on my roof? My fear increased, and I was going to run out to my sister's room when suddenly the crying became more serious. I was more frightened. I did not want to see, but the curiosity was invading me. So I looked out and saw the same child with the same clothes, but almost now all grown up. I ran out, opened the door, and went to my sister's room, told her, and we both went to our mother's. That day, we slept with her. The next day, my mother told me the story of a friend who attends church with her. She told me that at dawn, she played the rosary at 4 o'clock, and her friend crossed the street where I live to go to church. She said that her friend saw a child running from the corridor to corridor, and that she climbed up a tree and then made him shudder as if he had become heavy. told me that his friend, seeing this, almost fainted, but a friend who attends, she found out church and helped her. What do you think which it may be? What happened to Simone? I saw poor Simone. Is Simone here? What's up, Big John? Oh, she did? Damn it. I hope she feels better. What's up, Lucas? Pinch, how are you? Southern Charmer, how are you? Julie, how are you? Cynthia, how are you? Hi, Sonia. Crypto Work Pro, how are you? We are almost at. I cannot wait until. I honestly can't wait until the channel hits 100,000, because then I'm gonna just literally, like, I'm gonna give you guys a poll, and I'm gonna be like, all right, every day for the first upload of the day, I'm gonna give you guys a poll of what you want to hear, like paranormal, cryptid, high strangeness, UFO, UAP. We're only 330 away. Tigger was in here, Claire, when we started, but he was laying on the floor. Did a Lizzo versus Succubus already, Mothman. Did one already, my friend. A long time ago. Maybe I'll do another one, though. Almost there. Almost. I can't believe it. I honestly cannot believe that. What happens when you hit 100,000? So out of YouTube, there's 100 million channels, George, in YouTube land. And out of that 100 million channels with 100,000 or more is only like 555,000. So you're at like 0.5% in a 0.5% group. You can look this up. It's Googleable. And you get a play button. YouTube sends you a play button. It's a plaque that says your name, your channel, 100,000. So you've achieved something great. Oh, thank you, Clint. I appreciate that. Jane Doe, how are you? Thank you. Aramik. Wasn't there an Air Force base out there, Frank, at one time? Or close to it at one time, I believe? I haven't talked to him again, Big John. What's up, Jay Cortez? Thank you, buddy. Thank you. It's crazy because here's what's crazy is my channel has over, for the lifetime of the channel, I have 41 million views. So my channel has been visited 41 million times. And my YouTube creator partner manager or whatever her title is. I got her early. You're not supposed to get them until you get 100,000. She told me that I should have more than 100,000 with the amount of views that I have. She's like, that's ridiculous. She goes, you have 40. Well, at the time I had 40 million. And she's like, you should have at least 250,000. But now I sound like I'm tooting my own horn, so I'm just going to shut up. Speaking of horn, anybody see DB Mac? Oh, right there? Yeah, that's where I'm going to hang it, right here. She doesn't know. She doesn't know, Delirium. Probably not, Pinch. All right, this experience was thank you, Crypto. I know you were. I was like at 8,000 back then. So this experience, the guy who wanted to share his experience decided to write it out. Like, there you are, DB Mac, how are you? I think Wolfen was about a werewolf or a shapeshifter, I believe, DB Mac. It's Hollywood. It's a badass movie, though. It's a badass movie. All right, so this, just too bad you sport an earring. Why is it too bad I sport an earring? Well, Marcy, I bet they love that one, don't they? So the way this guy wanted to share it, he was like, I'm going to write it out. Like, if the demonic experience happened to you. So it's his experience, but he's sharing it like you guys are experiencing it. So I share my encounter, working it in secondhand person so that you can actually place yourself in my situation. You wake up in the middle of the night feeling watched. Each beat of your heart is tingled with fear because you live alone. Did you leave the door unlocked? Is there a stranger in your house? You try and sit up and say hello, but you cannot move or speak. The fear grows into panic, and your heart starts to throb into your sternum. Prone and paralyzed, all you can do is strain your eyes from side to side in search of an unseen presence somewhere in the darkness of your empty room. Weight crushes down on your chest like someone is kneeling on you. No matter how hard you try and sit, it pushes you back down. Not just on you, but into you. It grips your heart and squeezes. It takes all of your strength just to draw a breath. Panic turns into dread, the age-old existential dread of impending death. So, even though you're an atheist, you start saying the only prayer you know out of fear. But the weight is so terrible, each word is just meagerly forced out grunt, Our Father, who art in heaven. The whole prayer takes literally minutes to say. When you croak out the final amen, all the weight is thrown from your chest. But the ordeal is not over. You see the weight had form and substance, a swirling mass of angry black cloud that drones with all of the wrath of swarming wasps. And the prayer didn't so much throw it from off of you as from within you. It retreats into the darkness of the corner of your room. You now are able to move. Shoot over in the bed and turn on your lamp, but squinting against the light, there is nothing there. Still, the fear and adrenaline pump through your veins. You are not sleeping anymore that night and certainly not spending any more time in your room. So you go into the living room to watch TV until it's time to work. You don't say a thing to anyone about what just happened. Can't have people thinking you're crazy. Besides, you already think that anyway. That night you wake your side of the rhythmic that night you wake on your side to rhythmic drumming. Shadows of children dance along your wall while proclaiming, "He's coming, who's coming?" You wonder to yourself. Hearing this thought, the children's bodies freeze and bend into disjointed angles, spelling out the devil in shadow letters across your wall. Again, you fight to get a prayer out. You can move again. No darkness emerged from you, though. It's already out, and you have no idea what it wants. Again, you're not sleeping anymore that night or spending any more time in your room. These two experiences led to my insomnia. I'm afraid to fall asleep. If you nod off, you sometimes feel something grab your ankle and drag you down up from your bed. Only the distance you're dragged is impossible, further than the bed extends. You wake up unable to move again. This time you see what is holding you down. A dark cloud is back in a somewhat twisted human shape, still buzzing like angry wasps. Its hand is thrust into your chest, and you pray again to end the attack. This keeps happening 3 or 4 times a week. You start to understand that it's trying to weaken you through your sleep deprivation, fear, anxiety, depression, etc. You research and find out this is a thing called sleep paralysis, but there is no agreed upon cause. You don't fit the speculated causes, having had little anxiety before, no history of sleep problems, a regular sleep schedule, no explanation for why unrelated people across time and culture all have the same experience and visuals. The attacks happen, and each time it feels like a shadow person is getting more desperate. In the last attack, it speaks to you. "I am your friend," it says in a voice you use to reassure your own friends. "I can help you. It's okay. Let me in." "Fuck off," you tell it defiantly, then choke out the Lord's Prayer again. The prayer ends the attack. When you sit up in bed, a vision takes your breath away. An arm reaches out to you in a robed sleeve. It seems as solid as any hand that has ever been extended to you from the elbow down, but above the elbow just fades from existence as though it were made from light that disappeared into somewhat another world. A sense of awe and wonder wages over you. Tranquility and love well up from within. You know what you are seeing, but also know what you don't know. The attacks stop after this incident, and you understand you've been through months-long spiritual ordeal in which some darkness has been purged from you and was trying to get back in. Sometimes you tell people, some you call you a heretic when you explain certain things, acceptance of other faiths, reincarnation ideas they've been taught to reject and fear because they reduce the worldly power and wealth accumulation of the religious institutions. Mostly they just think you're crazy. Sometimes, though, people hear and go seeking for themselves, leading some of them to find. Nicole Clark, how are you? Mo, what's up, Mo? How are you, buddy? Lake 17. No, Jane's not going to be here tonight, Sonia. Her brother David is back on oxygen. She had a rough day yesterday and today. Family as well. Abby's first week of college was good. My oldest daughter started college this week, so it was good. It was nice because she's like, "Will you take me my first day?" She's just going to a community college, but we have a beautiful community college. It's a 4-year. People do go to it's an Adirondack SUNY college. And we have a 2-year and a 4-year on the same campus with dorms and stuff. But she's not staying there, obviously. We only live right down the road. But yeah, it was nice. It was just an interesting growth, growth. Who would go on a read on? Thank you, SB or HSB. That's awesome. Thank you. I am going up to where Tom Mezek disappeared Sunday. Tomorrow, I'm gonna go up there and see what I can find. I decided that I'm gonna go at night. I'm gonna leave here at like 5:30 and I'll get there at like 6:30. So it'll be dusk and we'll see what we can get up there. I do have night vision. I have night vision and I have thermal. So I have a headlamp. You guys know what I have anyway. No, I'm not going to take any. I'm taking the thermal and the night vision with me, but I can't take too much with me because it would just be too heavy. So I'll just bring basically my camera, my mic that goes to my cameras, my thermal, and whatever else I have in my backpack. And I figure, you know what? Let's start the adventure. I guess, I don't know. Fuck it. I do have an air horn in my bag. I have I got one of those LL Bean headlamps and it's 20,000 lumens, so it's pretty bright. I got a big knife. I had a couple big knives. A subscriber sent me a Benchmade fixed blade that's in my bag. And definitely bringing the Caltech. So thank you, Aramic. Thank you guys for caring about me. You know what? Did you guys see that? I tapped it out like it was a bowl. I'm like, oh, let's think of a song. All right. Name this tune. 20 bucks is 20 bucks. Tyler, what's up, buddy? All right. Name that tune. I'll give you guys a hint. It was not Purple Rain. It was from the greatest three-man band ever. The greatest three-man band ever. AC/DC was not a three-man band. Julie is three of you. Oh, you're coming close. But what was the song? Yes, it was Tom Sawyer. I think Tom Sawyer from when I was younger, and like from modified wrestling all the way to varsity. I used to listen to Tom Sawyer to get pumped up, and the Red Tom Sawyer and fucking Red. Oh my god, my song, my brain just shut off. Red. Oh. What was the name of the fucking song? Damn it. This video. Red. Not Eye of the Tiger. It was there was a movie about wrestling, and it was in the wrestling song. Red Rider. I think was the name of the band. My brain just shut off. Red Rider Band.
Red Rider Band.
Yes, there it is. Yes, Sarah Mick. One of the greatest all-time songs. Damn it. Great song. All right, I gotta stop it right there before YouTube hits me with something. Starts spanking my asshole. No, the song that I played was Tom Sawyer, and then Red Rider. All right, here. But about 18 years ago, my wife and I bought a house that was built in the 1950s. You could tell it had been neglected for a while by its previous owner. It was a small southern town, and we heard from neighbors that the guy lived in the house alone after his wife and daughter left him. Apparently, he and the house around him fell into some disrepair. Some of the neighbors vaguely suggested the guy had offed himself, and others said he had moved away. The master bedroom always felt a bit sad to me. It did not feel evil, but there was a sense of sadness or desolation in the room that I could perceive. The rest of the house didn't feel that way. It was a good place to live overall. We had an attached garage with an attic above it. It was a low-ceiling attic. It was hard to stand in there. And we just used it to store Christmas boxes and boxes of crap that we didn't want, but we couldn't throw away. The ladder came down from the door in the garage ceiling, but typically I would just climb to the top of the ladder stick or retrieve something within arm's distance from the attic door and be done with it. I didn't like the feeling of the attic up there as much either. Often, when we would watch TV in the evening in our living room, we would hear a large thud from the attic, which was right above our heads. It would happen once per evening, but always a thud with some heft behind it, and always in the same spot overhead the attic. It only happened once per evening. Most evenings, I went up there a few times thinking and hoping that some animal had found its way into the attic. There were no signs that an animal that could make that large thud could enter or leave. No big holes in the roof or walls. There was no animal droppings. No sign that an animal had been spending time in the attic. It was weird. Most nights, there was a single thud right above us coming from the attic. How many times are you going to say that? One time, I had to stick some extra boxes in the attic, not wanting to go deep into it. I climbed the ladder and pushed a few new boxes against the old boxes to push them further back. When I forcefully pushed the boxes deeper into the attic, I felt resistance, pushed through it, and then something made a very loud rattling sound. It sounded like a rattlesnake amplified. The sound was coming from approximately where the thud always comes from. If you were in the attic, the spot right over our living room, I basically jumped out of the attic, barely using the ladder for support. We moved out of state not too long after that. I had to get up into the attic during the move, and I didn't like it one bit. But nothing unusual happened, and that's all I know about that. Hang on a second. There we go. There we go. I got him unstuck this time. 59th. How are you? I hate the old shakes. Near. Dude, I want to listen to that song bad now. No evil bunny tonight. No evil bunny. Aramik, you know I'm going to rock out to that song right after this live stream, right before I go to bed. Dude, that would be awesome. I would love to do like a movie review with you guys where we watch a movie together. How fucking sick would that be? It's Nicole, it's a Gorillas t-shirt that I have, and it says ill bunny or evil bunny, pink bunny says license to ill or something like that. Yeah, you know I'm rocking out to that. But well, Aaron or Andy Davis just gave us the no. I want to watch. I like Andy Davis's heavy metal. We could watch heavy metal. Delirium. Have a good night. Have a good night. Thank you for popping in. What's up, Kevin Stover? But maybe Clockwork Orange. Clockwork Orange is my all-time classic. Love the movie. I can't watch Dog Soldiers. I think the movie's cheesy. It's that gorilla shirt that I wore a couple weeks ago, Johnny. Yeah, it's like a one watch. One watch. You watch it more than twice, and you're like, nah. I figured you would watch it more than twice, Andy Davis. Rocky Horror Picture Show, one of my favorite, all-time favorites. No haircut, Clint. No haircut. I remember watching Clockwork Orange for the first time. I was 10 years old. And my uncle Paul, my mom's brother, introduced that movie to me, my cousin, and my cousin and my other cousin, his son. So his two nephews and his son. And I remember my cousin Michael was, during the movie, he was 10 too, We were all 10. My birthday is September 16th. My cousin Michael's birthday was September 24th. And my cousin Steven's was September 18th. So we're all watching this movie together with my Uncle Paul. And my cousin Michael starts crying during the movie. And I'm like, why are you crying? And he's like, it's just creeping me out. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to hit you. Like, I started to be Clockwork Orange. I was Malcolm McDowell. Donnie Darko, amazing movie. Amazing Donnie Darko movie. Love the movie. Stargazer, how are you? I do. I like Cool World. Cool World is good. I like your name too, Stargazer. That's a great Mother Love Bone song. But how many people know Mother Love Bone? Fear and Loathing, great movie. Phantasms are great too. The Volgothan Shit Demon. Or, you know what we could do? We could do like we could do all three of the Rob Zombie, House of 1,000 Corpses, and the other two. I fucking love Dogma. With George Carlin. It doesn't get any better than that. Devil's Reject and the other one there. What's the other one? House of 1,000 Corpses. Devil's Reject and Bone Tomahawk is great. Fucking great movie. I tried to get my daughter Isabel to watch that. Oh, Belle went to go see the new Conjuring house today, or Conjuring movie today. She said it was pretty good. She said it creeped her out. Mother Love Bone is one of my all-time favorite like groove bands. If I don't want to listen to like metal or something, I'll listen to Jane's Addiction or Mother Love Bone or Mother Love Bone before Mother Love Bone when they were Malfunction, or Jane's Addiction before they were Jane's Addiction at Psycom. I like some Bollywood movies. Just kidding. Time is it? Oh, it's Lot Lizard time. I just need 2 yeses. Lot Lizard. Give me a yes, baby. Howard the Duck's a great movie. Lizzo. Yes. Okay. All right. Ha. All right, Evan. All right, here we go. Oh, shit. The neon glow of the Trucker's Delight sign pulsed erratically, casting lurid pinks and blues across the cracked asphalt of the lot. Diesel fumes mingled with the faint scent of stale coffee and desperation, a familiar perfume to Lizzo, the undisputed queen of the lot lizards. Tonight, she was holding court from the high perch of her custom-painted, bedazzled RV, the Valet Peach, her rhinestone-encrusted flip-flops tapping against the chrome bumper. Lizzo wasn't just a lot lizard. She was an institution. Her reputation preceded her, echoing through CB radios from coast to coast. They called her Lizzo, not just for her booming laugh and even boomier personality, but because she was Lizzo, a force of nature, a symphony of sass and self-assurance, wrapped in a sequenced, form-fitting embrace. Tonight, business was brisk. A lonely, long-hauled trucker named Skeeter had just departed, leaving behind a crumpled 20 and a slightly too long hug. Lizzo smoothed her perfectly coiffed wig, adjusted her oversized loop earrings, and winked at her reflection in the RV window. Another satisfied customer, she purred, just like the good Lord intended. The night, however, was about to take a detour from the divine. A subtle hum started, so low it was felt more than heard, vibrating through the asphalt, up through Lizzo's sturdy heels, and right in. She frowned. Skeeter must have left his engine running, she mumbled. But Skeeter drove an 18-wheeler, not a gigantic cosmic tuning fork. The hum intensified, growing into a high-pitched whine that made the fillings in her teeth ache. Then a light, not the harsh yellow of a street lamp, nor the blinding white of a police cruiser. This light was ethereal, pulsating blue, descending from the inky blackness above, growing larger, brighter, swallowing the stars. Lizzo shielded her eyes, her brow furrowed. Well, bless my soul, she announced to no one in particular. Someone's getting a little too fancy with their fog lights. But as the light hovered directly overhead into a distinct saucer-shaped craft, Lizzo, her usual bravado, faltered. A thick emerald beam shot down, enveloping her in a strange embrace. She felt an odd sensation, like being gently yet firmly suctioned upward. Her flip-flops dangled, her perfectly styled wig remained meticulously intact, and her large, bedazzled purse swung wildly. Now hang on a minute, she hollered, her voice echoing into the night. Is this some kind of new pickup line? Because, honey, it's a little too much. The next thing Lizzo knew, her feet were on solid, albeit unnerving, smooth and metallic ground. The air was cool, sterile, and smelled faintly of ozone, and, well, something like a very clean hospital mixed with a dead fish. She looked around. The room was circular, smooth or softly lit, and completely devoid of any indiscernible doors or windows. And then she saw them. 3 of them. Small, spindly, and vast, inky black eyes that seemed to absorb all light and hope. Classic grays. Just like in those grainy documentaries her third husband used to watch on the History Channel. They shuffled forward, their movements jerky and precise, their heads tilted in a way that suggested intense, silent curiosity. Lizzo put her hands on her hips, striking a pose that had intimidated more than one rowdy trucker. All right, fellas, she boomed. Who's in charge here? And if you're trying to sell me a timeshare, you got the wrong one. My credit's complicated. The Grays merely blinked their giant eyes. Then one extended a long, bony finger toward her. It wasn't menacing, just inquisitive. Another carried a tray with several long, thin, metallic instruments. Lizzo's eyes widened. Hold on, what are those? Is this some sort of intergalactic spa treatment? Because my usual anesthetician uses hot stones, not glorified knitting needles. They communicated telepathically. A jumble of cold, detached thoughts flooded Lizzo's mind. Specimen acquired. Analysis initiated, focusing on unique biosignatures. Commencement of exploratory probing. Lizzo scoffed. Probing? Oh no, honey. You're not doing that. I got a strict no probing without consent policy. And frankly, y'all didn't even buy me a drink first. But the Grays, it seemed, were not fluent in a language of consent or southern charm. They moved in, their black eyes fixed on her, their spindly fingers reaching, their instruments glinting. One of them, taller than the others, held a particularly long, thin, glowing rod. Its intention was unmistakable, and it was heading straight for Lizzo's, well, personal space. A flicker of primal fear quickly replaced by white-hot rage ignited in Lizzo. Oh, hell no! You little gray goblins think you could just snatch a queen from her throne and start poking around? With a roar that rattled the spaceship's pristine walls, Lizzo proved that a lifetime of wrangling unruly truckers, bar brawls, and navigating the sometimes treacherous world of late night transactions had given her a surprising resilience. She ducked under the glowing rod the gray was wielding, grabbed a nearby metallic stool, surprisingly lightweight, and swung it like a baseball bat. It connected with the tallest gray's shin with a surprisingly loud thunk. The gray let out a high-pitched squeak, a sound that was more like a damp sponge being squeezed than any kind of pain. It wobbled, dropping the glowing probe, clutching its shin. Its black eyes dilated, not in pain, but in sheer, unadulterated confusion. You want to probe me? Lizzo snarled, her eyes flashing. She snatched the dropped instrument. It felt smooth, warm, and humming with energy. Let me show you how a real professional handles a probe, honey. Before the other two grays could react, Lizzo lunged, grabbing the nearby gray by what passed as for shoulders and spun it around. Its little gray deer ear was exposed, smooth and surprisingly delicate. With a mischievous glint in her eye and a triumphant cackle that echoed off the metallic walls, Lizzo aimed the alien probing device. Surprise, bitch! She yelled, thrusting the instrument with practiced precision. The gray squeak this time was not confused, but pure unadulterated horror. Its spindly legs buckled, its eyes widened to impossible saucers, and it started to emit a rapid chittering noise, a sound Lizzo could only translate as error, unexpected input, system overload, oh God, oh God, oh God. She moved to the next one, a smirk playing on her lips. And for you, Sugar Pie, a taste of your own medicine. She used her own formidable, well-manicured finger this time, giving it a good solid poke. This gray's reaction was even more extreme. It shrieked, a sound like 1,000 tiny bats trapped in a tiny can, and started spinning in frantic circles, its limbs flailing wildly. The first tall gray, still nursing its shin, watched its companions descended into an abyss of terror. Its telepathic thoughts, which had been so clinical moments before, were now a cacophony of panicked alarms. Intruder uncontrolled, primitive specimen exhibiting hostile receptacle probing, retreat, retreat, abandon mission. Lizzo, meanwhile, was having the time of her life. She was laughing, a deep belly laugh that vibrated the alien craft. Who's probing who now, huh? You thought you were going to get a free show, honey? With Lizzo, you got to pay. And sometimes the payment is participation. Chaos erupted on the bridge of the alien vessel. Alarms blared, red lights flashed, and the grays, who moments ago had been composed scientists, were now frantic, scrambling messes. They looked at Lizzo with a mixture of terror and utter bewilderment. This was not in their database. This was not in their cosmic journals. This was not natural. With a collective telepathic decision that screamed, "Get off our ship!" they hit a button. The emerald beam reappeared directly beneath Lizzo, gripping her once more. She was pulled upward, still cackling, still brandishing the alien probe like a trophy. "Don't forget to write," she yelled as the floor rapidly receded. "And maybe invest in some better manners next time." She was dropped unceremoniously back onto the cracked asphalt of the trucker's delight lot. Her RV, the Velvet Peach, sat exactly where she had left it. She smoothed her wig, adjusted her hoops, and flicked a stray piece of gravel from her sequenced top. Not a hair out of place. "Well," she muttered, kicking off her flip-flops and reaching for a discarded pack of cigarettes from her purse. "That was a Tuesday." Up above, in the cold vacuum of space, a small silver saucer zipped away at warp speed, leaving a faint, lingering trail of ozone and alien terror. For the next 6 months, any cosmic traveler who happened upon the particular gray vessel reported the same thing. The crew, once renowned for their stoic composure, now walked with a strange pigeon-toed waddle. Their black eyes held haunted, faraway looks, and their occasional clenched their backsides with a shudder. Lizzo, the queen of the lot lizards, had not only defiled them, she had fundamentally altered their understanding for intergalactic relations. And somewhere out there, an alien support group was likely forming, discussing their shared trauma from the night they tried to probe Lizzo. Well, thank you, SD. They are making a Spaceballs too. You're right. I think that one was my best one. I think my best one. Definitely not. Definitely not. Thank you, Maggie, Jane Doe. Thank you. Not it died. Fuck me. Ugh. Well, thank you. I think so, Tina. I really do. Why wouldn't you have subscribed, Wesley? Holy shit, you're here. You've been here for 45 weeks, Wesley, and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet? I got to give you a clap for that one. Thank you. Just always here. He's like, fuck it, I'm here. I'm not going to support you. Fuck it. Because it's harassment from all my subs? What's that mean? How do you get harassed by your subs? I don't understand that. Oh, you don't have to, don't just, you know what you do? You don't get notifications. Just turn your notifications off on your phone. That's what I do. I don't have any notifications. I just know, like, when I check my channels that I watch every night, you know what I mean? No, I agree. I just have the notifications turned off. Let me see what I got for you, Clint. I did a couple, or I did one earlier. Let me see. This is a long one, actually. All right, here we go. Mr. Jeff, I hate the whole Mothman theory. Please mess with me. No, you love it, brother. You love it. Aramic is the biggest Mothman fan. He's writing a book. If you guys didn't know it, Aramic has written a book, and it will be published soon. 16 years of Mothman research done by Aramic. First-hand accounts, all by him. Some, the Mothman has given him some loving. Took him up in the air with his little mothy wings. As he's looking into Aramic's eyes, he says, "My name is Arthur." Oh, shit. Arthur. That's what Aramic kicked when Arthur tried to grab him. He's like, "God damn it, get off me." Oh. All right, here we go. This happened a couple years back, March 24th, 2022. I was 16. I had just gotten my license. My friends and I were going on a day trip to the beach, Pacific City, Oregon. And a few of our friends decided since I had got my license and a new to me car, we should So this happened a couple years ago, March 24th, 2022. I'm 16, just got my license. My friend's family was going on a day trip to the beach, Pacific City, Oregon. And a few of our friends decided, since I had gotten my license in a new to me car, we should load up in my old 300Z, take the T-tops off, and go on a nice road trip up the coast. All was going well, other than the discomfort of 4 guys being crammed in a small coupe on a 2-hour drive. We eventually made it to the coast and had a good day. After we had packed up our things and started to head home, my friend suggested we take a road he knew. It was an access road going through the Tillamook forest back home instead of the main highway. It would take about an extra 60 minutes, but he said it was pretty and it'd be a nice change of scenery, so I obliged. The sun was setting, and in the thick forest, it got dark quick. And before we knew it, there was no cell service, no houses, and absolutely no cars, which is pretty typical for the mountain ranges between Oregon's coast and the Portland metro area. So it wasn't anything I was worried about. After about 10 more miles, I saw a green SUV, either a Dodge Durango or a Ford Escape early 2000 models, hauling a fifth wheel, crashed off the side of the road. Being that no one was around, I decided to pull over and see if everyone was okay and offer some help. It was probably 8 to 10 feet off the road on a slope, only caught by the trees it had hit, and the fifth wheel was absolutely trashed. Both of the sidewalls were caved in with the contents of the RV spilled all along the top of the road. The SUV was filled with clothes and food wrappers. Almost all the windows were shattered, and there was definitely some pretty significant blood stains on what was left of the driver's side door glass and the windshield, but didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary for how bad a crash was. There was no one in or near the car, and truck had stopped by us, and we told him we didn't see anyone and we would just be on our way. So he kept driving, and shortly after, we started our journey back up the road. We had to go pretty slow as the condition of the road was getting worse and worse, with massive potholes and cracks in the road. Definitely was not intended for a lowered car. I'd say about 3 to 5 miles after the crash site, there was a pretty sharp right-hand turn with a pullover area on the apex of the turn. As my dim headlights lit up the trees behind the pull-off, I saw what looked like a pale man with saggy skin. From what I could tell, it was fully naked, but was sort of behind the tall grass and shrubs, so I could really only see up from the bottom of its stomach. It had no hair and was kind of scrunched over, like how you would imagine an old man hunched over, just staring at my car. It didn't have prominent features, but the biggest part I remember is its eyes reflecting my headlights bright like cat's eyes, and with its whole body turned to keep looking at the car as we drove by. I didn't know what to do or what to think. My friends in the car were all staring behind us and claimed that it kind of leaned out of the shrubs and watched us drive away. We were all freaked out, discussing what we had just seen. We thought it was some tweaker that had crashed their car and just walked off, or it was some sort of paranormal creature. I kind of played it off as the first option, but the more I thought about it, it seemed like something you'd see in a liminal space or a bad AI generated image. No eyebrows, no hair, pale white skin, like when a person loses 100 pounds in a small amount of time. It was saggy on its cheeks and necks and arms, etc., but seemed scrawny and frail. We sped home, and I kind of just told people the experience when the subject of paranormal things came up. On July of 2023, at my that time girlfriend's brother and I were pretty close. So him, his friends, and I were driving up through the trails of Dixie Mountain, talking ghost stories and such. When I told them a story, her 5 brothers' friend said he'd seen the same crash and showed me a picture of the same SUV I saw, but he said he didn't see anything creepy. I don't know what I saw or what happened, but it definitely scared me and my friends, and I've never been back on that road since. Maybe someone's seen something similar or had similar experiences in the Oregon wilderness. I hadn't thought about sharing this, but I figured, you know what? I might as well. I just got done reading a book on cryptozoology, and I figured mine is just as good as theirs. Oh, shoot. Yes, that was a crawler, Aramic. Definitely a crawler. Oh. You're welcome, Clint. You're welcome. Andy Davis is back. Let me see if I've got any Mothman experiences for you, Aramic. I know how much you love them. Remember the time you were ravaged by that female Mothman? Mothina? I don't think I have one tonight. Oh! Shit! No, I don't. Fuck. Well, no. Actually, I do. Look at this, Aramic. Aramic gets his Mothman. This one is dedicated to Aramic after I do my ball shake. Ball shake. What's up, Stacy Lockett? How are you, dear? Dane, you know what's funny is I rescued a little jumping spider like a month ago, and the little guy was like that big, tiny, so cute, right? I put him in a cup and took him out of Belle's room. And I don't like killing spiders because they kill other bugs, you know? And my house is old. Like the front part of my house was built in the 1800s. So like there's centipedes and shit that live here. So I put him in one of my bonsai trees to let him live in the bonsai tree and kill the bugs that get in my bonsai tree. And all of a sudden on the wall, the other about 2 hours ago, I look and I'm like, is that the same spider? Because he had weird arms. He had these weird 2 arms that kind of went out like this, right? And he was just a little bit bigger. And I like look at him and I'm going, I like literally said, I go, hey, I go, is that you? And it literally went like this. And I'm like, holy shit. Oh, Jesus, Stacy. I am so sorry. Oh my God. I'm glad that you're here with us. I'm so sorry for your loss. I do, Aramic. I do. I'm so glad that you're here with us, Stacy. All right. This actually is a Mothman or winged humanoid encounter out of Japan at the Mount Fujiyama Kamataki Shrine. And I got to burp really bad, so hang on. That was fucking gross. Ew. Ew. Anyway, I visited in September of 2015. My friend lives in Tokyo, Japan. While I was there, he told me an incident had occurred while he and his fiancee traveled to the Mount Fujiyama Kamataki Shrine. They had been at the shrine and other local sites throughout the day. While they were leaving the parking lot, they both noticed a strange looking man crouched down by a tree near the edge of the forest. My friend slowed down his car as they continued to watch this man. The forest was dark, but they could see a halo of red light over its head. About that time, he turned and stood up. Instantly, a pair of huge, dark, butterfly like wings sprung out from its back. He shot up into the canopy. As it ascended, they noticed the wings reflected light. They then noticed that two older women had been watching this man as well, who screamed and ran away toward a nearby building. Other people then reacted to the screams and were looking toward the forest. My friend did not stay and drove away. They were both frightened, and his fiancée cried most of the way home. Sally. I was shocked by this encounter and started to look on the internet after I returned to New South Wales, Australia. I then read about the Mothman incidents and other strange winged humanoids. I talked to my friend, and he said that someone had told him the same thing, that it had been seen in Japan. Anyway, Witness claims to see, these are all Mothman sightings in Japan. Witness claims Mothman sighting in Japan prior to earthquake. I'm not sure if this is appropriate time to come forward with this experience, seeing recent events in Japan are still fresh in everybody's memory. Naturally, I was in Japan on business and had emailed a lifelong friend who was living in Japan, teaching English at a local school. He had insisted on my staying with him for the duration of my stay, saying it would help save me money and make my expense report look better when I turned it in. My friend, I will call him Tim for the sake of his reputation and career, was a lifelong bachelor and had a fairly large apartment all to himself and his cat. After several days of day-long meetings and group seminars, we decided to go out and get a bite to eat and take in the town. After a fairly large meal and hopping from one night spot to the other, we decided to go toward the ocean and check out the moonlight reflecting off the waves. My friend stated that he wanted to check on a biology station that some of his graduate students had set up near a large power plant. As we approached the plant from the west, we walked along some paths and came to a simple metal box bolted into the ground. From this box, there was a myriad of weather vanes and other meteorological devices. My friend stated the school science class students had a theory that just like the water being used and discharged by the power plant was warmed by the production of electricity, the air around the plant was also being warmed and thus affecting the weather and tidal patterns in the surrounding ecosystem. It all sounded too complex, and in my slightly tipsy and tired state, was only able to grasp the bare bones of the complex theory I had laid out. He had finished up and changed the subject to something more jovial when all of a sudden we heard a loud, distinct swoosh. At first, my mind thought it might be the sound of a distant wave crashing ashore when we heard it, followed by an ear-piercing shriek that shook me down to my bone and made the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. We looked around for the cause of the noise when we heard the sound again. Best way I can describe it is like a city bus brake when they are in need of service. Loud, ear-splitting. We both continued to look around when my friend's attention was drawn toward the plant by another nearby couple. A young couple out for a walk were staring toward the plant, arms outstretched and the obvious fear in their voice showing itself. I looked toward the plant, and against the lights of the plant, I thought I saw a figure silhouetted against the moonlight sky. The figure seemed to be large and black from the distance. I was at It looked to be sitting on top of one of the squared-shaped buildings. It sat there for 5 or 6 seconds and then unfurled a large set of what appeared to be wings. The only reference I can compare them to is the old John Travolta movie Michael, where the main character unfurls his wings and spreads them out to the full length. To say that this creature was large was an understatement. The creature then took flight and circled the plant 4 or 5 times. Some circuits he took at the final pace. Some he seemed to slow down. All the while he kept his attention on the row of square-shaped buildings, and later found out housed the reactors. The creature then came towards us, flying at least 30 feet off the ground. The younger couple who had noticed the creature first were now screaming, cowering, the man shielding the woman while shielding his head with his jacket. My friend and I looked in awe as this creature flew over us. That's when I noticed the 2 large red eyes. They seemed to glow from within, and with a blood red hue. They were unblinking, and in 3 or 4 seconds, we saw them. We knew they were looking straight at us. We knew this creature, we could see it, made no attempt to disguise itself. The sick, intense, overwhelming feeling of dread came over us. The feeling that we should not be here, we should not be seeing this, was definitely overwhelming. There is your Mothman experiences, Aramic. Zilla, how are you? Rando. If you be my bodyguard, I could be your long lost pal. Do 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 do. What's up, Sean McCabe? Call me out, call me out. Do 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 do. They never are conclusive. You know that. You know that, Aramak. You are the main fucking. You are the only person I turn to when I need help about Mothman questions. What's up, 555? Gregory, how are you? Good morning. Actually, I was reading something actually really cool, and I thought of you, Aramic. It was in regards to, I think it was John Keel. It was something John Keel had written a while ago, and he had been talking about the Mothman and saying such like it's a dumb name, that probably 95% of the actual sightings of a flying creature like the Mothman are definitely reptoid of some sort. So why do we call them Mothman? Because they're fucking Arthur. They're Arthur. We were talking about that like 3 weeks ago, Jane Doe. How when there's a full moon, it looks like something is strange. Book's going well. Not the Victor book. The Victor book probably will never be out, to be honest with you. I've emailed my publisher like twice. But my new book that I'm working on with Jimmy is going well. Mr. Haunted. All right. The fuck? Abandoned house. This seems good. What's up, T baby? All right. Hang on, I gotta get another drink. fucking parched. What's up, little orphan? I'm good, AI or Alzilla. My armpits are sweaty. I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm trying to figure out a way of getting it out. I have it. I could sell the folder that I have it in. It pisses me off. Believe me, it pisses me off more than it pisses any of you guys off. My cousin and I like to visit abandoned houses and buildings. We live in a rural area where these houses are frequent. We have a select few that we like to visit from time to time. We are almost always nervous. My cousin worried that there will be squatters or police will catch us. I'm nervous about paranormal activities. A couple of weeks ago, my cousin went to a house we haven't been to with two of his other friends. They went all throughout the house. He even took a few souvenirs. After his first visit, he told me about it and we decided to attend. We either had to go on a rainy day or at night because there are some work being done around the property. About a week ago, we went on a rainy day. It was pouring rain, but I really didn't care. I wanted to see the house. The front door is not open for us to go in, so we had to go in through some brush to get to the back. The trees and flowers were starting to bloom. It was beautiful. We were admiring the beauty. Once we got to the door, my cousin saw that there was a thin wooden slab covering the door. That was not there last time he went. My guess is workers have been working on the property. A little further down the house, there's a garage basement that we go into, but it was too scary. There was some old glass bottles around, so we tried tossing a few at the door to open it. That didn't work. We found a long piece of metal to reach over and open the door with. Right as my cousin was reaching over to push the door open, the door slammed shut. It was sort of a cracked to begin with, along with the tossing glass bottles at it. I ran immediately and my cousin followed. It was not windy and it had stopped raining. There was no way it could have been the wind. It came from inside. I've experienced seeing the paranormal door closing before, and it was much like this one. I did not want to have to run through the brush, so my instinct was to run a different way. I did not know where I was going, but something told me this was the way to go. We ran to the car and drove away fast. 3 nights later, I shared a dream that I had about the experience with my cousin, and he told me that he had experienced a dream almost the same time as mine. Long story short, we both dreamt that a man/figure dressed in black and white with a mask that was white. He also had a different dream about someone whispering to him to come back. We are unsure if this house is trying to lure us in or not, or if this is a sign for us not to go back and just stay away from abandoned houses altogether. I don't know. Yeah, fuck that. Yeah, where is 5 rings? I haven't seen 5 rings tonight either. We have a asylum outside of Saratoga, and Abby and her friend Allie went there last summer, and it's completely abandoned. A few paranormal investigators, like big YouTube channels like Sam and Colby, had gone there, and so Abby and her friend Allie went, and they started to walk into the building, and it's absolutely huge. There's no cars parked around there. There's nothing there. and you can't walk to get there. It's like out in the middle of nowhere, like 5-6 miles from nowhere. So they pull up, they park, and they start to walk into the main entrance of the building. They get onto the second floor landing. So another set of stairs, and you're on the second floor. They're on the landing, and they hear this cackling laugh. And they both just take off running in fear. The door had been open when they had walked through. They had left the door open purposely in case they needed to get out fast. But when they got down the stairs, the door was closed. So whatever the cackling was and whatever closed the door was pretty freaky. Ugh. My dad worked with JAG for a while when he was in the Department of the Navy. That's awesome, Rando. Good for your son. That's amazing. Good shit. Thank you, Annette Perez. Tiffany Cooper, how are you? Sorry I missed you. I didn't say hi to you. Damn it. I'm sorry. We do need asylums back for all the fucking whack jobs out there, don't we? Holy shit. I just told a story, Wesley. Jesus, can I take a break? Lock up the crazies. You're right. Shit, yes. Whew. Ugh. Did I get your message or email? No. And LS Steve, if I do not reply, it means I didn't get it. So try again. I don't know what message. I don't use Facebook, so I don't use Messenger at all. So try to send me an email again, because I don't use Facebook. Thank you, 59th. I don't think they meant Jaguars, John Sumner. I think they meant the Navy. You know what I'm saying. But good double, what is that called? Double time. I fucking forgot. Blaze Radio. Nope. Never heard it. I use Instagram. I don't use Messenger on Instagram either. I don't even know how I got fucking I got a check mark on Instagram, and I don't even use Instagram often. Like, I don't even know what happened there. Like, they gave me a check mark. No, I'm not too tired. I'm pretty good. I just needed to take a break for a second. Yeah, please send it to me to my email. Like I have TikTok and I only posted one video and I have almost 800 followers on TikTok. I don't even use it. Like I don't even look at it. It's got over 95,000 views already. Oh. Whew. Amongst the myriad of things that my childhood home, like doppelgangers, calling to family, and being dragged under my bed, there were shadows. I lived in a 2-story house where the stairs dumped straight into the living room. So if you were in the living room, no matter where you were sitting, you could look up to the top of the stairs. At the top of the stairs, there was a door to the right and a hall to the left. So the only thing you would see was a blank wall. At night, when you looked up the staircase, it was pitch black up there, no windows. There was a light for the stairs and the light for the hallway up there. Woe be it to you if the bulbs were always burnt out. Most nights, if you looked up the stairs, you would just see darkness, but sometimes there was a space darker than that around it. And it was the size of a head that peeked around the corner at what would be head height of an adult male. And it would just stare, watch it long enough, and it would slide back around the corner. But give enough time, and it would slide back around to watch you. There were many nights where I slept downstairs because of the shadow thing watching me. My brothers saw it, my dad saw it, friends that spent the night saw it. It would be easy enough to say it was just my active imagination seeing monsters in the dark. But when more than one person experiences it, when you can see the shadows move, it changes your ideas about that. To end this, I will tell you what my dad told me about his experience with the shadow watcher. He had noticed it before anyone else began bringing it up. At first, he thought it was me or my brother staying up past our bedtime to watch TV. He would yell up at the stairs for us to go to bed, and the shadow would away. But as nights went on, by something didn't feel right to him. One night, when he saw the shadow, he got up and stood at the base of the stairs. It was still there, just peeking around the corner. My dad went to turn on the stairway lights, but it didn't work, so he started up the stairs. About halfway up, he said the shadow slid around the corner out of sight. He rushed up the stairs and turned the corner, where he saw the door to the spare room at the very end of the hall slightly ajar and the shadow peeking out of the opening. As he moved toward it, the door closed. He rushed the door and kicked it open, thinking someone had broken into our house. There was nothing in the room, but the door to the walk-in closet was ajar and slowly closed when he looked at it. He threw the closet door open, ready to kick someone's ass, and found it to be empty. He told me this shortly after we had moved. I learned that a lot of nightmares I experienced in that house were not isolated incidents. Dude, I got cold chills when I was fucking reading that. Dude, literally when I was like, I'm like, when the dad is running up, I'm picturing it. And I'm like, eesh. My first car was my RX-7. 66 Chevelle. Dang. Firebird. Firebird. They definitely weren't, Stephanie. CRXs were sick. Look at this dorky picture. Me and my RX-7. My 1991 RX-7 convertible. I still have dreams about that thing. 30 years later, I dream about that fucking car. I saw Bigfoot driving a Pinto once, Enormous. Thank you, Ricardo. Yeah, headlights popped up. Burp, 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 burp. I love that car. I like CRXs. They were cool. My friend had a CRX. I always wanted one of the you had a white one, Tina? Well, it was a 91, and it was that year I got it was 1993. So it had the Koenig TriStars on it. I bought Koenig TriStars. Like, I saved up all my money and bought it. And it was cool because the convertible top would go down, but if I wanted to, I could take out the middle and have a Targa top. Oh my God, it was so nice. Let me check real quick. Got him. Got it that time, my friend. Got it that time. Tina, I got your email too. I got your email, babies. Oh yeah, pinch nipples because I got your emails. All right, that was weird. We have a few acres that border state forest. I've gone in the forest twice while hiking. I noticed that not only was there no wildlife, but my voice echoed through the woods and bramble like it was an empty hallway that went on forever. Could hear the echo for at least 10 seconds. Well, I've had 2 occasions where my wife's voice called me from the backyard deep in the woods. Every time I went inside and asked her if she called me, she said no. When I was 5, I used to live in an old farmhouse where to go upstairs, you had to go past the front door. One night, as I walked up, I heard my mother call my name from the other side of the door at 10 p.m. Went into the kitchen, and she was still making me juice for the night. I knew whatever was on the other side of that door wanted me to open it. My current house is not haunted. My family farmhouse was 10,000% haunted. Can't even go over the things I experienced. Heat seizures, extreme fear of windows, and a witch that would sometimes come to my window. I would scream while being asleep and being woken up, being shaken. Once we moved, all the effects stopped. Whatever the entity was, it tormented me. Our family dog died while I was at my dad's for the weekend, and it showed up in my dreams. I was all sad until the dog started talking in a deep voice and would chase me, saying it was going to devour me. When I lived in the farmhouse, I would have dreams of dying over and over again until I found a way to get out of my dreams by finding a TV in my dream and turning it off. There's an entity in the farmhouse was potentially my great-great-grandmother, who everyone said was the meanest person they had ever met. My wife has even witnessed me as a doppelganger. She watched me walk toward the front door of my house, and she asked where I was going. My doppelganger looked at her and went outside. She followed me, but after, there was no one there. When she came into the room, I asked what was wrong, and why was she calling for me. And she said she watched me walk out the front door. This was my mother's house, which was the house that was built in the 1800s. and was also very haunted. Doors being pushed right up against the door jamb, foot shadows standing over the door. I got so sick of it, I started throwing a towel over the door. Tenants hearing walking around the doors, closing while they were gone. I've got lists of paranormal things happen in both family houses. Seems like my new house from the 1800s isn't haunted, but the woods are. I have two massive mounds in my backyard that have altering layers of shale and soil. The lady who sold us the house talked about this massive bowl-shaped rock and Native Americans, but I didn't take that much into account. I've left the mounds alone aside from getting rid of any vines. Ideas or thoughts on what I should do? Sell it. Until right now, I have shared this with maybe 4 people because it sounds crazy. This happened in 2001, so the internet was not helpful back then. I lived in Roanoke, Virginia, in a wooded area with my family. We lived on a big hill surrounded only by woods. I returned home at around 2 a.m. and was a young teen at the time. I parked my car and turned on the overhead lamp and rolled up a joint. It was a nice night, so I had all the windows down and would always hear noises, but never thought nothing because there was tons of animal sounds. Animals around. Anyway, I roll up, smoke, and just thought nothing because what the hell? Until right now, I have shared this maybe with 4 people because it sounds crazy. This happened in 2001, so the internet was not helpful. I lived in Roanoke, Virginia, in a wooded area with my family. We lived on a big hill surrounded by woods. I returned home at around 2 a.m., young teen at time. I parked the car, turned on the overhead lamp, and rolled up a joint. It was a nice night, so I had the windows down and would always hear noises, but never thought nothing because there are tons of animals around. Anyway, I roll up and smoke and also pull out my art pad and start to draw so the overhead lamp is still on, and had music playing softly for maybe an hour. I did this. Finally, I was tired and ready to go inside, so I reached up to turn off the overhead lamp in the car, and when I did, I could now obviously see outside the car now, and directly in front of me, maybe 12 feet slumped down in front of my brother's Jeep, is a pale, skinny, long-armed, long-legged creature. It looked right at me like it had been there for a while. It was also intelligent enough to know that once I cut the inside lamp off, I could see now outside and knew I could see it. I only saw it for maybe 3 to 5 seconds until it realized that, and it bolted back to the back of the house almost cheetah fast. I was scared and stuck in place at what I saw. I was so scared to get out and ended up driving around for an hour or so until the sun came up. I returned home and finally went inside. I immediately that day tried to rationalize and ask my dad and brother, were they outside at 3 a.m.? To which they just laughed and said, heck no. The house has always scared me and my brothers. We actually called the cops another time because we thought someone was trying to rob the place because we kept hearing noises on the back deck door at one night. This sighting I had of the creature is burned into my brain now, 2025, so almost 25 years ago. I'm so curious about what I saw. Even more crazy as years went by and the internet became what it is. I remember the first time I came across the picture of what this thing might have been, and my heart stopped. It's that famous pic where it's slumped over on all fours in the exact position I saw it that night, moves the same way, but still so many questions. Are these things aliens? Are they demons? We are not alone on this planet. Whatever they are, whatever it is, it didn't want to harm me. My window was down the entire time. It could have snuck up on us and easily harmed us. It seemed only to watch me, though. It always happened so fast. Its face had small mouth, huge eyes, didn't see a nose, very, very pale. Time is up. All right, I am going to Zilla, have a good night, my friend. I hope everything's looking good for you. I got one more lot lizard story. Last story of the night, lot lizard story. And then we'll call it a night, my friends. Oh. All right, here we go. Did you see that person say I'm okay, but I wear earrings earlier tonight? You're okay, but why do you wear earrings? How fucking dumb was that? What the fuck? Right? Like, come on, dude. You wear earrings, you aren't cool. Like, what are you, from 1952, you fucking flake? Kramers. What's up, Chad? You just jealous? Because he's probably like, I can't do it. He probably tried. He's like, oh, I want my ear pierced, but I'm too much of a little kid. Oh, let me pinch my nipple while you do it. Oh, I can't. No. Fucking baby. Let me see. I did get it, LS Steve. I did say I got it, buddy. That was an idea. I did restrain myself. I know, you can't even see them. Like, here, look. Here. Oh, where's my earring? A big hole in my ear. Oh, I got my cartilage pierced. Fucking doozer. Probably rubs one out to like 1982 porn. He found in the woods 10 years ago. Shut up, Ermic. Don't you boss me around. You're not my dad. I wear earrings. The dusty Gila truck stop wasn't just a smudge of neon and diesel fumes baking under the New Mexico sun. It was a cosmic lint trap, forever snagging the frayed edges of reality, perched precociously on a ley line that doubled as a fault line. It was less a place and more a suggestion. A blink and you miss it portal where truckers fueled up their rigs and sometimes, just sometimes, their very souls. Most nights, the weirdness was manageable. Shadows that whispered in alien tongues by the gas pumps. The diner jukebox playing songs from defunct timelines. The occasional spectral hitchhiker trying to bum a ride to the next destination. But tonight, the weirdness had decided to throw a party. And the guest of honor was chaos itself. Lizzo, the undisputed queen of the cosmic grease stop asphalt empire, was as usual holding court. Her throne was a repurposed milk crate covered in leopard print fabric, strategically placed near the entrance to the diner, giving her a panoramic view of her domain. Tonight, she wore sequenced tracksuit that shimmered like spilt oil on a rainbow, and her perfectly coiffed wig defied both gravity and common sense. Her laugh, a joyous, boisterous sound that could shake dust off a semi truck, echoed across the lot as she haggled with a shifty eyed alien disguised as a perfectly shifty eyed human over a price of a special carburetor part. Her boyfriend Earl, a mountain of a man with a beard like steel wool, had a bewildered expression, sat beside her, nursing some lukewarm coffee. He drove a rig named the Midnight Marauder, and his love for Lizzo was unshakable as his rig suspension. He had seen it all: phantom roadkill, time looping diners, even a sentient tumbleweed infestation. And his primary function was to fetch Lizzo more iced tea and occasionally grunt in agreement. 500. So the whole point of this story is that the diner is on the border of New Mexico and kind of the Twilight Zone. 500 credits for a flux capacitor that smells like old socks and regret, Lizzo scoffed, her hands on her hips. Honey, for that price, it better come with a personal masseuse and a guaranteed trip to Vegas in 72. Next, the alien, a six-eyed being named Zorp, in a badly fitting human suit, slunk away, muttering in a language that sounded like static and regret. Lizzo's eyes rolled. Amateurs, she declared, fanning herself with a menu. They think just because this place floats between worlds, I'm going to fall for the old interdimensional scam. Then the first real crack in the night began. The fluorescent lights in the diner flickered, not just off and on, but through a spectrum of impossible colors: violet, chartreuse, and an unsettling shade of what the hell is that? The jukebox, which usually only played obscure 80s hair bands, or cock rock as we like to call it, suddenly rolled to life with a Gregorian chant, then a disco anthem, then what sounded suspiciously like a whale song. A grizzled trucker named Rusty, who swore his rig had a poltergeist, kept stealing his pepperoni sticks, burst out of the men's room, eyes wide. Lizzo! The toilet! It just tried to eat my ass! Lizzo raised her eyebrows. Did you lose it, honey? Or did it just get repossessed? Before Rusty could answer, a collective gasp ripped through the lot. A shimmering, translucent wall of what looked like pure static electricity had materialized directly over pump number 3. A spectral station wagon glowing with an eerie internal light phased right through it, its tires not quite touching the ground. 2 spectral figures, a couple in 50s attire, waved cheerfully from inside before dissolving into motes of ectoplasm. Well now, Lizzo said, a glint in her eye. Looks like the multiverse is having a rummage sale tonight. Earl, the picture of calm in face of the absurd, finally spoke. More like full-on unannounced interdimensional garbage sale, hon. Look. He pointed to the sky. Streaks of light like meteors with too much personality descended earthbound. Not burning up, but landing. One silver disc settled gracefully on the roof of the Greasy Spoon, its ramp silently extended. Another, a hulking, furry shadow, lumbered out from behind the dumpster, sniffing the air, letting out a mournful howl that reverberated the very asphalt. Bigfoot? Earl questioned. Or a very poorly groomed Wookiee, Lizzo mused, taking a sip of her iced tea. Either way, he looks like he needs a bath and a decent comb. The chaos escalated. The coffee machine in the diner started spewing green slime. A miniature black hole briefly opened in the chip aisle, sucking in the display of beef jerky before popping shut with an audible hiccup. Ghosts, more numerous than usual, danced a spectral conga line around the gas pumps. A family of chupacabras, looking less terrifying and more like confused, hairless dogs, tried sneaking into the candy store, their glowing red eyes reflecting the neon sign. And then the real trouble started. A hulking, multi-limbed creature vaguely resembling an overgrown crab with too many eyes and an unsettling human-like grin scuttled out from the men's room. Evidently, the toilet had finally its fill. It brandished a rusty wrench, its numerous eyes fixed on Earl's rig. It was clearly eyeing the Marauder's tires, probably for a cosmic snack. "Oh, hell no," Lizzo said, her voice dropped to a full octave. This wasn't just weird anymore. This was direct threat to her domain, and more importantly, Earl's livelihood. "Nobody touches Earl's baby." She rose from her milk crate throne, a Glamazonian warrior queen surveying her battlefield. Her eyes, usually sparkling with wit and mischief, now held a fierce, unwavering resolve. "All right, y'all listen up," Lizzo's voice, amplified by the sheer force of personality and maybe a little residual psychic energy from the keyline, cut through the cacophony of groans, howls, and otherworldly chittering. "This ain't no free-for-all. This is my truck stop, and there are rules." She pointed a perfectly manicured finger at the wrench-wielding crab thing. "You, put that wrench down. Earl just got those tires rotated, and they ain't for chewing. Go grab a sugar packet from the diner if you're hungry, but you'll pay for it." The creature paused, its numerous eyes blinking, genuinely surprised. Lizzo spun around, addressing the spectral conga line. "And you, if you're gonna haunt, fine, but no blocking the pumps. There are truckers trying to make an honest living here, and they got schedules to keep. From a single file line, or I'm calling the Ghostbusters, or worse, HOA for the next dimension over." A few ethereal shivers ran through the ghostly formation, and they awkwardly began to coalesce into somewhat more orderly queue. "Bigfoot!" she bellowed, spotting the furry cryptid trying to lift a bag of beef jerky. "That's $5, and you better not leave a hair on the counter." Bigfoot grumbled, dropping the jerky, and sheepishly pulled out a surprisingly well-preserved $20 bill from his pocket. Lizzo walked straight up to the silver alien ship on the roof of the diner, cupping her hands around the mouth. "Hey, you up there! No parking on my roof. This ain't no intergalactic drive-in. You want to stay, you pay." A hitch hissed open, and a trio of skinny, gray-skinned aliens peered out, looking bewildered. One of them, seemingly to be the leader, made a series of clicks and whistles that sounded vaguely apologetic. "And you," Lizzo said, turning her attention to the black hole in the chip aisle, which, emboldened by chaos, had reopened and was now trying to swallow a large bag of Doritos. "No littering. Whatever you do with that lit Dorito bag, you take it with you." Earl watched his queen in action, felt a familiar swell of pride. He knew she wasn't just a pretty face. Lizzo was a force of nature, a cosmic air traffic controller, in sequence in a tracksuit. For the next hour, Lizzo was a whirlwind of directives and demands. She organized the ghosts into spectral car wash line, put chupacabras to work fetching discarded wrappers, and even negotiated a truce between a disgruntled gremlin trying to sabotage diesel pumps and pixelated video game character who kept glitching into reality. She used her wit as a weapon, her sass as a shield, and her sheer, undeniable presence to impose order in the universe that had decided to unravel on her doorstep. By dawn, the dusty Gila was a strange kind of calm. Most of the more chaotic supernatural entities had either cowed into submission or had packed up and left, probably to find a less managed breakdown in reality. The spectral station was neatly parked and still glowing. Next to the rusty pickup, Bigfoot was quietly enjoying his coffee, paid for no less, and the crab-like creature was sweeping the lot with a broom it had somewhat acquired, grumbling about minimum wage. Lizzo looked barely ruffled, sat back on her milk crate, taking a long, satisfied gulp of her iced tea. See, Earl, she said, a mischievous glint in her black eyes. It's all about the setting boundaries. You let them walk all over you, and suddenly your truck stop turns into an interdimensional shithole. Earl just nodded, a soft smile on his lips. You're always right, my queen. You're always right. She winked, then clapped her hands together. All right, everybody, let's get this place cleaned up. And if anyone sees a dang toilet trying to eat another ass, you tell old Lizzo. Says no more snacks until it learns some manners. Life at the dusty Gila on the border of everything and nothing was back to the usual extraordinary hum, and everyone, from the lowest trucker to the highest ranked alien, knew exactly who was in charge. The Queen has spoken. All right. Maybe we'll do one more. We'll end it with a regular story. We're going to end this with a Oh, okay. All right. Love you, bud. Thank you. Thank you, Tina. All right. Last experience. We're going to end this with a Dogman experience. Jack Wagon, Country Gal Show. How are you? I didn't. She went and she's going to go fuck around and play at some park right now. I don't know. They have zip lines. She's zip lining at night. My daughter zip lines at night. Whatever. This happened when I was 7 years old to my uncle. He's no longer with us, and I want to share his experience. Growing up, I lived in northern Michigan on 5,000 acres of farm ranch land that backed up into state land. Nothing but miles of forest and pasture could be seen. Needless to say, it made us pretty tough, and it took a lot to spook us. We're all avid hunters, fishermen, and outdoorsmen. Being the only girl, I was raised as a tomboy, and I'm just the same. My uncle went off to join the military, becoming a senior NCO in a prominent Special Force Division of the United States Navy. 6'4", built like a wrestler, obviously skilled in survival tactics, and nothing rattled him. He was home on leave and went out hunting. It was deer season. I remember him coming into the house shaking and crying that he saw something in the woods. My uncle never cried. He was tough as nails and would tear someone to shreds before he let them make him cry. My grandmother tried to get him to make sense, but he kept saying he saw Bigfoot mixed with a wolf. My granny immediately got my granddad and rounded up the rest of the guys hunting. My dad, my few male cousins, my uncle, who was still terrified but went because he didn't want to be labeled a chicken, got their shotguns and ammo and saddled their horses to go and clear the woods. Apparently, They were aware of Dogman, but I was blissfully young and ignorant. They told me to stay inside, and for no reason was I to step outside of our house until they returned. I had never heard my dad or granddad be so serious, and I hid in my room. Sunset comes, and they are still not back. I'm really worried at this point because they never stayed in the woods. We never stayed in the woods till that long. Shortly, I hear a sound of horses running to the barn. I was relieved. They looked troubled, and when they came in the house, they didn't say a thing, probably not to spook me. At dinner, my dad laid down the law. I was no longer allowed to play outside or go to the barns alone. I had to have my granddad with me at all times. Of course, I was upset by this and felt my independence was being taken away, but I obeyed. The next morning, my dad and granddad taught me how to shoot. I knew it was serious. I overheard the adults talking the next night. Apparently, there were tracks where my uncle had his sighting bigger than any wolf could make out, but they were definitely canine. As I said before, we are avid outdoorsmen and hunters. We know how to identify tracks easily, but these could not be identified. About 8 feet up into a tree, they saw claw marks. No Michigan bear could make those. They also found claw marks that were about the same height on multiple trees throughout the property. Had cattle mutilated, and not in the way a coyote or bear would. And it lasted the whole winter. We lost about 30 to 40 cattle in the winter, all of them mutilated with the same tracks and snow. I really feel like this experience changed my uncle. Who knows? He did multiple tours in the Middle East for Desert Storm and Operation Iraqi Freedom before he ended his own life. After the experience, though, he was never the same. He went from not ever drinking to never seeing him without a bottle of Jack and his eyes always haunted. He changed his personality and never went into the woods again. He quit hunting, and he eventually just quit coming home on leave. He didn't even come home for my dad's funeral 2 years later. It was heartbreaking to see him deteriorate in that way. I truly believe my brother saw something out there, and it immediately killed him. Ugh. All right, guys, 3-hour live stream. We did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. And I had fun. I hope you guys did too. All right, have a good night. Next week I will let you know if we're going to do a live stream on my birthday on Tuesday the 16th. Maybe if we do, it'll only be like an hour. So, what's up there, Wolf? But in the late great Ozzy Osbourne 1980s farewell. I love you all. Have a good night, guys. Have a good morning too. Don't let your meatloaf